Hero's Death is the brand new album from Fontaines D.C. And when you talk about anticipation, when you talk about, I suppose, I hate using the word hype, but excitement is another word. That's something that they are things that have surrounded this album. Deegan, or the two Conors anyway, are here from Fontaines. Lads, you're very welcome. Congratulations on this album. Can I ask you firstly, excitement, all those things that surrounds this. How did you approach going in to record this album when you had so much success with the debut album, Dogrel?
I think a main thing that we were conscious of whenever we were writing this, aiming towards recording it, was to definitely try and keep that out of our minds and not let that affect our writing or how the songs would then end up being recorded. We just wanted it to be the same as the way Dogrel was. Whenever we wrote and recorded Dogrel, no one was really listening to us, so we wanted to carry on that attitude onto this one, and it's probably one that we'll carry on to the rest of our records. I think it's really important to not be too conscious of the listener and make the music for ourselves.
These days, with the way music works and things like that, there's usually a good distance between records. With you guys, it's been just over a year. Was that always something you planned on, having a pretty quick turnaround?
Yeah, totally. I mean, personally, I've always looked up to the fact that Bob Dylan and the Beatles all released 3 albums in 18 months, and we were always joking about trying to do that, but we actually managed to do 2 a year apart. So maybe we'll do another one in 6 months or something.
Is it, in the back of your mind sometimes that as good as what you might do, you're kind of at the mercy of which way the wind might be blowing when it comes to, fashion, styles and things like that? Or do you have to just go, you just got to trust your instincts and just go for it?
Yeah, I think just trusting your instincts is all you can do. I mean, it would be pretty contrived if we were trying to, be weather forecasters with this kind of thing and see what would come into, as you said, fashion in the next few years. I don't know. I think we just trust our own influences and let them kind of dictate where the music will go.
When you talk influences, has there been anything in particular that's been a big influence and had a big impact on these new recordings?
In our minds, anyway, the Beach Boys. And it's kind of funny because we were recording the album, writing the songs and thinking they were really Beach Boys. And then everyone heard them and said, these are nothing like the Beach Boys, apart from a few bops here and there. But, in our minds, there's something to the Beach Boys that maybe is very personal to us that other people don't see. But I think there's a lot of songwriting to it and a lot of, I don't know.
It's more of a mantra. The Beach Boys were a mantra for this album that we kind of kept in the back of our minds whenever we would be arranging the songs.
The lead up to this has been a bit bizarre. And I mean, the last number of months has been bizarre for everybody. How have you kind of, I suppose, looked after yourselves with all this? Because you can't promote a record the way you normally would. You can't get out and play live. You can't do a lot of things. How have you coped with that?
I mean, it's been really strange, to be honest. There's been a lot of disconnect between the release of our album and ourselves. Because when we released Dogrel, we toured it and we did the in-stores and stuff, and we felt a real connection to the people who were listening to it and the community that was forming around it, and it was really special. And you got a sense of what was happening with it. And with this, I mean, even watching our Jules Holland that we had recorded in isolation, all our separate parts, and put it together, when we were watching that performance in Green and Carlos's house, I just felt I didn't feel much of it, for some reason. I don't know. It was just too much of a disconnect.
It's hard to pull positives out of situations like this because when you look at the facts, it's been pretty horrendous worldwide. Are there positives musically that and things that have happened around that you can look at? Well, that was a good thing.
I don't know. I suppose from a personal standpoint, having the time off and having the break to develop, just to have time to write on my own, and to write music myself has been really invaluable. And I think after having such a, kind of stressful situation recording the second album of it, we were just really on a big time constraint, between all the shows that we had. So just having that time to be able to, pick a song or write a song during a day and slowly arrange it over the course of a week at my leisure has been incredibly good for my head, and I feel really positive towards making music now, which is great because, the one thing we have now, I suppose, for the rest of the year is time, so we can keep writing.
And speaking of time, the last number of months, you don't strike me as a band that would look back too much, but you must have looked back a little bit at some point and had time to reflect on what you've achieved, which is pretty significant. Have you looked back and thought about particular times and just the overall impact you had, the music that you've released has had on people?
I don't know. The time I look back on is when we all played in Workman's together and went to the garage bar afterwards and hung out. Honestly, I don't really think too much about all the touring or anything really, because it was just a really special time when we were just all starting our bands and all just in love with music in a really special way.
Does it change? I asked Carlos this because you toured an awful lot, and looking at the tours you've got lined up for next year, that's going to continue. I remember asking Carlos, I said, how do you survive doing that much touring? Because you did an awful lot more than most. And his answer said the part of you maybe doesn't survive. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, it's a very intense thing to say.
It is, yeah.
He must have not had his coffee yet or something.
I think the thing with touring is it's just a learning curve, and you kind of gather the tools that you need to get through it once you've done it a lot, and the sort of day-to-day strains of, having to get up, get in the van, all that traveling. Once you can mentally deal with it and have things that make you happy, like reading or just being able to write in a journal, those things seem to, just get you through and distract you from whatever kind of strands maybe you're on.
Is it true that you recorded this album twice?
Yeah. We recorded it once in LA in September with Nick Launay, who did Grinder Man and Nick Cave and Bad Seeds and all kinds of things. And we recorded it in a really cool studio called Sunset Sound, which is a 60s studio where the Beach Boys recorded and Led Zeppelin recorded and amazing albums were made there. Purple Rain was made there.
Stones did some recording there.
Stones did like 4 albums there. But it didn't work out because we had a different vision of what Beach Boys meant than he did, because we have such a weird idea of what that means apparently. So the album actually turned out, it sounds good, but it just doesn't sound very us.
Is that something that you have to take care of, like what your vision of the band is, and not dilute it to what other people might think it might be and what other people might want it to be?
Yeah, you definitely need to protect that. And whenever we made the demos for this album, I suppose we might not have known what we had because we gave in to deviating from those kind of original ideas. And then once we realized what those deviations meant, we had to just go back to the start. And then going on to work with Dan Hegarty, who did Dogrel, just seemed like the only thing to do because he really understands us and he lets us navigate our own songs with, kind of like a watchful eye. And yeah, he really let this album be what it needed to be.
How important was it for you guys not to repeat yourself by just doing exactly the same thing again? Because some people, the temptation to do that when you have success and acclaim must be tempting.
I don't think we'd be able to do that, to be honest, because the way we write songs, I think we'd just feel really, really phony doing that, and we wouldn't be able to play the songs. Even with our first record, we were trying to make an album that sounded kind of diverse, but because of the nature of just trying to give each song the treatment it deserved, arrangement-wise, and not align ourselves to a particular sound just to make it cohesive or anything like that. So the second album, while it's more disparate in sounds and stuff like that, it is kind of a logical follow on from that mindset.
Because I remember speaking to you at when Dogrel, and you mentioned second album. This is the week that Dogrel came out. I mean, that thought process is third album on the horizon now as well.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to play these songs, you know, we're going to go off on tour for ages. We're going to play the second album mixed with the first album, and we're going to probably be tired of those songs, you know. That's what happened with the first album. We wanted to have new songs so we could have a more diverse set and make it more fun for ourselves. So that's probably what's going to happen again, is that we just want more songs to play, because then it makes it more interesting when we play live, and it ends up being a better show, I think, instead of us just kind of going through the motions of something that we've done 100 times over the past 100 days.
Yeah, we should really just write way better songs so we don't get bored of them so quickly.
Yeah.
So is touring something you're looking forward to getting back doing? Because I mean, what you're doing in the studio over there is something a little bit different, albeit exciting in its own way.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to getting back to it, because I feel pretty useless sitting at home now. Like, I had no idea how much of my life I had pushed aside, or how much room I had made in my life, rather, for touring until it was gone. So I need to get a bit of purpose back, I think.
So it gives perspective anyway, the time that you've had. Does that mean you might consider doing encores? Or never?
No, let's just play the songs and not do this kind of charade. Like,
Yeah, let's get off and
then wait
Are
on
we
the side of the
gone?
stage for a while. Are we gone? Are we coming
No,
back?
we're
Who
back.
knows? Trapdoor. We can install a trapdoor on the
maybe,
stage.
yeah, maybe some more theatre elements to our.
Yeah. We could fly in on a.
Green can come out with like a Phantom of the Opera mask and like
Exactly,
swing
yeah.
across the stage.
I like the sound of that. Well, that wasn't a yes or no, but who knows? Fontaines D.C. will be on tour again in 2021. Guys, congratulations on this album. Stay safe and well, and thanks for talking
Thank
to
you,
me.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Cheers. Thank you.